What's the deal? What's the deal? What's the deal, man? Big said here to keep it real, man. I got some news that we gonna use and not some news we gonna lose. You understand me? It's what's today's date? It's the 22nd of November. Okay. We got the government back open. We got people getting beat up at schools. And we can unanimously vote on the release of the Epstein files, but we can't vote unanimously to open the government. And every year, we got to deal with the government getting ready to shut down. Every year. Not a year that goes by that this doesn't transpire. So we're going to go ahead and get it started off with the first clip today. Reacting to the vote of the Epstein files to be released. Let's get to it.
U.S. House overwhelmingly approved the same bill just hours ago. Now it will head to President Trump's desk, who recently reversed his opinion on releasing the files. After spending months calling the Epstein scandal a hoax, Trump says now he will sign the bill. Tennessee Congressman Tim Burchett has been calling for the files release for years.
I don't think America wants to hear any more of this. We went 4 years under Biden. Now we've gone nine months under this administration. I think it's time to get it out there. I can't speak for the president other than to say that I've said all along I want the list out.
Tennessee Senator Bill Hagerty showing his support, saying in part, quote, "From day one, I have called for full transparency on the investigation into the criminal actions of Jeffrey Epstein. President Trump supports the release of these files, as do I."
Interesting. Okay, so essentially, we can all come together and vote to release some files on Jeffrey Epstein, but we can't come together to vote to get the government open within 10 days of the government being shut down. We went more than a month with the government being shut down, with more than 5 to 10 Congress members voting to keep it closed every time. And there was more than one vote. They continued to vote and vote and vote again on multiple different occasions, yet we can all come together to make sure that we get these Epstein files out. Now, I'm not against getting the Epstein files out, but the thing is, we wanted the Epstein files out 2-3 years ago. In the time that we've sat around and waited on the Epstein files to come out, we've had the government shut down for 40 days. We've had a new president in office. A multitude of different events have already transpired in the time that we asked to get them out and the time that we're actually going to get them out. Okay, so with that being said, there's a chance that what we get in these Epstein files is not the raw and uncut version that we were asking for originally. And then also you got to think too, there's a really good chance that what we do get is just going to be a watered down, dumbed down version of whatever they've already skimmed through and looked through to show us. So really, to me, it just kind of seems like a distraction. Same thing with the Diddy tapes. We're gonna just dangle some information in front of you guys' faces to distract you in a time where we're actually making moves that we don't want you to pay attention to. That way everyone can get on one accord and vote to get something out. See, that's why they all voted for it to get out, because it's all part of the plot. The plot is, let's give them something, not when they want it, not what they really want, but give them something to keep them distracted so that way they think that we're actually doing something righteous, that we're actually giving them what they want. But in reality, we're not getting nothing. And I said a long time ago that what we get, we're not going to get what we want anyway, as far as when it comes to what's really in there. Everything's already been scrubbed, removed, whatever. So what's the point? But it just goes to show the hypocrisy of we go 40 days sitting around waiting on people to get paid, flights getting canceled, people not getting their paychecks and still having to go to work. But we can all come together and vote on one accord to say, yes, we got to get these files. We got to get Jeffrey in these files for a person who's not even here anymore, who supposedly killed himself in prison. Right? Okay. So, but we can vote on, we can come together on that. We can stand together on that. But we can't stand together for the American people when it's time to get the government opened up way sooner than it should have been. So that's the problem that I have with that. I don't really think that it's not really gonna amount to nothing. It's not really what we want anyway. So who really cares? It's not gonna change my life. It's not gonna change your life. It's probably not gonna change anybody whose life you know. So it doesn't really matter. Really, it really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. Because we're not getting what we want and we're not getting anything that's really gonna be valuable. So, but in other news, the devil been working. The devil truly has been busy. Chicago is almost bankrupt. Chicago is going through a lot of trials and tribulations right now. And they're not under the best management. You know, Trump had threatened to send the troops up there. They already had ICE up there. And the devil has been working, man, because just this week, Chicago mother beat up with her kids by a bunch of teens coming home from school. Jumped on for no reason. Kid getting bullied. She's trying to, step in and make sure that her kid gets home safely. And the kids just ran down on her like a pack of wild dogs and beat her up. So I'm going to let you guys see that. And it's just a different time, man.
On their way home from school,
It's a different
is live outside of outrage in South during
different time, man.
Attack on the way home from school. Casey Cronus is live outside of Orville Wright Elementary School with the very latest on this story. Casey, what can you tell us?
Hi, Sylvia. This video is heartbreaking to see. That woman, a 33-year-old, says she was walking her 9-year-old son home from school when they were jumped by a group of kids. And we need to warn you, the video is difficult to watch. We have frozen it before things escalate. Chicago police are now investigating after the woman named Korshonda and her son were viciously attacked near 106th and Bensley. That's just a couple blocks away from the elementary school. It happened yesterday, shortly after dismissal. A group of kids approached them and started punching and kicking them. Korshonda says her son has been bullied at Wright and claims the administration has not done enough to protect him. Here's what happened yesterday in her own words.
So I asked my kids to come to the next side of the street with me so they wouldn't get jumped. So we kept walking. They followed us all the way there. And then they still fought us. They fought my son and hit my son first, all in his face. Then they dragged me in the grass and pulled my little baby hair.
Wow.
And throw it all over your fur.
Wow. This is what we doing in Chicago. That's what we doing. We beating up on moms and kids. I thought moms and kids was off limits, y'all. We beating up on moms and kids now. Pulling babies hair and dragging them in the grass and kicking their you know what. Okay. Well, let's start there, right? Where was the human resource officer cop? Where was the school? Where was the cop who's supposed to be in the school assuring that, nothing's going on? Nobody drove. There was no police presence driving by, seeing a bunch of kids beating up on a mom and her kids. This type of thing stems from bad leadership, because what happens is when you take out law enforcement outside of the schools, now it's a free-for-all. Now you got kids who are bad, not being raised properly, parents who don't care about their kids, letting their kids run wild, do whatever they want, like the Wild Wild West. You got these kids out here doing whatever they want to do, and the parents is not doing a thing about it. Some of them don't even have parents that's active in their lives, right? But the mom who's doing what she's supposed to do is on the way coming home from getting her baby, and she getting jumped on, getting beat up. Come on, man. We living in a different time. I know it's 2025, but dog, back in the 90s, this would have never happened. This would have never flew. This would have been a thing that you would never see. You couldn't even think about seeing. Because back then, you know, you had respect for your elders. You didn't talk to them crazy. Even if you was doing something you had no business doing, when the elders came around, you try to make it look like you wasn't doing it. Or you try to keep it respectful. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We are not finna just allow for children to run wild on parents and allow the problems that these parents have created to cause problems for our lives because they don't want to raise their kids. No, it's not going to happen. And there's a lot of people calling for justice right now, calling for the kids to go to juvie. I think you send them to the military, send them to like a military school. You know what I mean? Send them somewhere like that, because I don't necessarily think that juvie for a bunch of delinquent kids that's being delinquents is really going to be what's best for them, because they're already bad. They're already bad as hell, and their parents is not in their lives. So what is you sending them to juvie really going to do? They're just going to be around more negative influence. It's just going to get them to dive deeper into whatever they already into. Send them to the military. Send them to Beyond Scared Straight. I don't know why we stopped doing that. But on the real, send them to the military. Let one of them drill sergeants get in their face and break them down. Really break them down and figure out what's going on and install some discipline and some structure into these kids' lives. Because the problem isn't always that, you know, the kid is bad. A lot of times the problem is it's unchanneled energy that's not being focused in the right direction. Kid could be a great writer. Kid could be a great reader. Could have aspirations to do things, but the neglect that has come as a result of the absence of the parents has allowed for all this energy to build up, and now they don't know where to direct it. And then every day they go to school, they see other kids with undirected energy acting a fool. But yet we have leadership in Chicago that's voting, or that's allowing there to be a vote to take the Chicago police out of schools completely. Take them completely out of CPS schools. For what? What are we accomplishing by doing that? Because ultimately, these same kids, these same minority kids are going to have to grow up, and they're going to have to work with these same police officers at traffic stops, getting registration tickets, getting insurance tickets, jaywalking, whatever. It doesn't even matter. You're still going to have to deal with these same law enforcement officers later on down the road. So why not train these children up, as it says in the Bible, to train a child? It doesn't say to raise a child, to grow a child. It says to train a child up in the way that they should go. So if you know that you're going to have to deal with certain things in life, why push it off to avoid it? Why not teach these children how to communicate with law enforcement? Why not teach these children what their rights are? That way they can be knowledgeable. It says that my people die for a lack of knowledge. We cannot just continue to just push things away from these kids and expect them to grow up and make the right choices when they don't have the right information. If they knew better, they'd do better. So what is taking them out of the schools actually going to do for anybody? It's just going to cause a more exacerbated problem later on down the road by them being dumb, by them doing something dumb, and now they're on the news, and now we're being freedom fighters because a kid made a stupid decision and a cop reacted in a way, and now we're talking about it because it's a black on white issue. Why not inform these kids on how to behave? That way we can have preventative measures to prevent things later on down the future. A lot of things are self-inflicted and can be prevented. So taking law enforcement and leadership out of the schools is not going to help them, especially when they're misguided youth. And they need men in their lives as young men to teach them the way that they should go, because their idea of being a man is being a tough guy, standing up for a block that they don't own, that they have no property on. That's their idea of being a man. That's what they think being a man is. They don't understand that being a man is standing on your principles, taking care of your business, and being the truth. They don't understand that. And they think that the only way that they can do it is loading a gun and shooting at some